Interrompemos esse podcast para perguntar: quem você quer ser?
Designer, engenheira, pedagoga,
administrador.
Quer saber? O Senac EAD é nota máxima no MEC. Tem cursos de diversas áreas, com conteúdo elaborado por especialistas do mercado e professores mestres e doutores. Ainda tem o Senac Carreiras, conectando estudantes a vagas de emprego em todo o país. Saiba mais em ead.senac.br/graduação.
Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5-Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Homebrew. The month is September, and my co-host is Brian.
Hello. Maybe not the Brian you're expecting.
But not the Brian you're expecting. This is Brian Schar, one of our brand new transplants here on Dr. Homebrew, on the Homebrew wing of Hospital Brewing Network. I am your host, Dr. Sexy. Dr. Sexy MD. That's my official title. No, Brian Cooper is out sick today. Well, actually, he's not sick, but his entire family is sick. I think they have the pneumonic plague or bubonic.
Yeah, one of the onyx. You know,
I like pneumonic plague. Pneumatic plague. That would be better.
Pneumatic plague sounds really good.
That sounds cool.
And frankly, I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to be able to say, physician, heal thyself. But he's already healed. It's just his family that's all messed up.
That's true. That's true. It's so much energy going out to keep him alive. He can't keep every... yeah, so I don't know. Apparently there's some nasty stuff going around. So get your flu shots, I guess.
Yeah, don't get that. Not the flu shot, the sickness.
Yeah, don't get the nasty sickness.
Yeah.
But you know what is not nasty sickness, Brian, is 5-Star Chemicals. The people
I've heard that's not nasty sickness.
And the product at 5-Star Chemicals. They're great people, great products. Go to 5starchemicals.com and learn about all of the ways that you can make better beer. Really, it's cleaning and sanitizing. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but those are the ways. That's the way. I don't know. That's what you got to do.
Spoiler alert, that stuff, man.
Yeah, so check them out. They're good people. They promote the show. They support us. And, they're at like every NHC ever, which is really cool, too. So if you have any questions about any of their products or if you're unsure about them, I don't know why you would be, but you can hit them up at NHC or send them an email or, do whatever, dude. Do whatever you guys do.
And sometimes you get lucky at NHC and they give out those little 1-ounce sample packets
Yeah.
of their products. And just if you're there, get one. It's great.
Yeah. Hey, man. And free product. So what are you going to do? Let's see. On the show tonight, we have two beers brewed by two people that are in one room together.
What?
So they sent like a case of beer, which is pretty funny. So we'll be hearing from them probably in October. I would wager to bet. But we're gonna have a Wet Hop IPA and a Belgian Specialty beer. Now, I'm unsure, thinking about it now, if these really are what they are on the chart. Maybe the Wet Hop isn't a Wet Hop, but it's an IPA. So the label wasn't really clear. But, we'll figure it out. This if it's screwed up, this is Brian's fault. This is not my fault. Brian is now...
Brian Cooper or Brian me?
Brian Cooper.
Yeah, it'll be Brian Cooper's fault. Yes.
He is now in charge of booking for the show and putting stuff together. And so if he screwed up, I don't know. I got to give him a bunch of crap like he gives me.
Well, you know what, man? This is actually kind of interesting because it echoes a situation you see in competition sometimes, which is you get a beer put in front of you, and you're not entirely sure what it is.
Okay.
Or you get a specialty beer, and there's some very cryptic notes that don't really indicate what it's supposed to be. to the extent, and I'm not blaming the entrant here at all. I mean, I haven't seen.
No, you should. I feel like it's Wade's fault. No, I'm kidding.
But as a practical tip for people entering competitions, when you have something that might be a little different or a special ingredient or process, just be really clear on that sheet when you submit that what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that'll let the judges understand what you're doing and judge your beer accordingly.
For sure, absolutely, and I think it's. I mean, we have the the label. It says quad, and I don't know, is that a Belgian specialty? I think I grabbed the right one, but the other one just says IPA. And so I feel like they just put the labels on it like that's like they were going to enter it right with the 21A and whatever. But I don't know. We'll find out. We'll get them on the line. Actually, we have Wade and Eric should be there too. Are you guys there?
We are.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Actually, I'm a little tired if I'm going to be honest with you. But I won't bore you with the details.
We just ate hot dogs here in the studio, we got that going for us.
It's hot dog night. Who else is missing is Bev, actually. Bev is sick. Bev is, super sick times. She missed our Heads and Tails show because she's sick, and then she texted me today. She's like, I feel worse than I did on Tuesday. I'm like, oh, dude, that sucks. But I told her we had Hot Dog Palace, and she goes, oh, man. So whatever, Bev. Cheers to Bev. Here's my hot dogs. All right, Wade, let's start with you, I guess. Brian, is that what we should do? We should start with the IPA, the Wet Hop, or...
I think that sounds fine. I judged that one first.
Okay.
It's always kind of a challenge when you have two sort of big, powerful, flavorful beers to figure out which one to go with first. I typically like to save the higher alcohol one for second. But we'll talk about these in the order that we judge them.
Wade, did I get that right? The IPA was the Wet Hop IPA? I didn't screw up.
Yeah, no, it's a Wet Hop.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. So how long have you been making beers? Is this the first time you've done a Wet Hop IPA?
So I've been brewing for 10 years now almost.
Oh, okay. You're an old guy.
Oh, no, man. I'm only 30.
Oh, shit.
Yep. But yeah, so I've made a couple Wet Hops. These were homegrown hops that I had, Chinook and Zeus.
Oh, cool.
In these.
Okay. Awesome. Is this the first time you've been doing it?
No, I've done a couple of Wet Hops before.
All right.
So what's your process for wet hopping?
Pretty much, well, on this one I kind of messed up a little bit, but it ended up working out well. This one I just put them in for first four hops, and they worked out well until I tried to run through my plate chiller, and then they clogged up my 2-inch tri-clamp valve.
They clogged up a 2-inch valve? Holy cow.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of hops in it. So what I ended up doing was dumping it straight into my conical and then using my glycol chiller to cool it down.
Okay, that makes sense. Get it in there, get it cold, man.
Yep, it worked pretty well. It chilled it down in about 20 minutes.
Awesome. All right, Brian, let's go through this beer. Actually, you want to pour a couple of these?
Yeah, I could. I've got one for myself, and while I'm just chatting,
here, I'll do it.
This is the magic of homebrew radio, is we can do things like pour beer and talk at the same time.
Hell yeah!
Don't ask us to chew gum and walk at the same time, because that's going to be disastrous. They don't teach that in homebrew medical school. All right, so was it starting off with the aroma? It's definitely a malt-focused aroma to me. I get kind of a woody, almost northern brewer hop aroma out of it. It's interesting you said Chinook and Zeus, because usually Chinook is like a really piney, very prominent hop, and I just didn't get the kind of piney. I say woody, but it's woody more in the sense of a northern brewer is more of a minty woody, and a Chinook is more like you're chewing on a pine tree, sort of, or shoving your nose down into a pine bough.
Right.
Didn't quite get that kind of evergreen with this. A slight stone fruit, kind of plummy ester. But I thought the aroma was kind of at a low level overall when I wrote wrote the score sheet. I think, like as happens so many times, I come back to this half an hour later and it's been sitting here, and as it's warmer, the overall level of the aroma, I think, has gone up. I'd say maybe it's more of a medium than a low aroma.
Yeah, it's pretty aromatic.
Yeah.
And
I think it was just maybe a little bit cold when we first opened this up, but it's still, I think it's a malt dominated aroma with some woody character to it. It's brilliantly clear in appearance. It was an excellent job. It's a low head that settled quickly, and I'd call this kind of a copper color. The flavor is similar to the aroma. Definitely thought it was malt-focused, high bitterness, but also kind of a low hop flavor, less than I would have expected from a wet hop beer. Very well attenuated, so congratulations on that. I think so many times IPAs tend to be they have that residual sweetness that just does not.
Right.
It doesn't work so well as the well attenuated examples.
Right.
Balance is definitely toward the bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
I think the finish is long, starts malty, ends bitter. So maybe a little bit of cardboard. I'm going to see if I can come back to that.
Cardboard, huh?
I got maybe just a tiny bit of oxidation, and that. But coming back to that, I'm not sure. I think I may have talked myself into oxidation. I'm not entirely convinced there's any oxidation in this beer.
Okay.
Body is medium carbonation. There's a slight warming, but this is not a huge alcohol bomb beer. Now, watch Wade come back and tell me different when we're done with this. It's like an 8% or something. I'd call this more perky than creamy. Perky is not an official BJCP descriptor, but I like to think of creamy to me is it's smooth and kind of low carb and maybe slightly sweet, and perky is maybe a little higher carb and more attenuated. So I think of this as more perky.
Okay.
There's no astringency. And I probably should be giving my numerical scores as I go through here. We'll wrap those up here in the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a tasty beer with no flaws, except for perhaps a very slight oxidation that I'm kind of talking myself out of actually is even there. But to me, it's somewhat one-dimensional in that for a wet-hopped beer, I expect more flavor and aroma character. And I appreciate that there's enough hops in here to clog up a 2-inch tri-clamp, which is pretty heroic.
Yeah.
But somehow, for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to quite make it into the finished beer. But I think it's really well done. I gave this a 32 overall. The aroma was a 7. I had the aroma a little bit. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road score, primarily because of the lack of the hop aroma that I really wanted from the wet hopping.
Yeah.
Appearance was a 3, flavor 11, mouthfeel 5, and overall impression 6.
Okay. That's pretty good. I mean, I agree with a little bit. Is it too, coming from a guy who doesn't drink IPAs, is it too bitter? For me, it's too bitter. But again, I don't know.
It's probably pushing the envelope of being slightly too bitter, but I think it's fine. I think the bitterness level is great.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, this reminds me of classic. People talk in 2018. People have talked about old school IPAs. Like 1990s vintage IPAs, the way IPA used to be. And this is actually, to me, a really good example of what an IPA was in 1998, if you picked up an IPA at that point. Sounds like someone just opened up a bottle. You have kind of some caramel. I get a little caramel crystal-type malt in here. It's you can tell from the color this is not just a bunch of two-row with some hops added.
Right.
And frankly, I think it's refreshing to have an IPA that has a little more malt character as opposed to some 2018 IPAs are a little bit too much like hop water.
That's true. It's base malt, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. I haven't tried the new so-called brute IPAs, partly because I just think it's going to be hop water. But I like to have some malt character in there that's going to balance out that hop bitterness.
Yeah.
But the bitterness level is great. I think wet hopping can be kind of tricky as far as getting flavor and aroma out of those wet hops. I think the process clearly. Wade, I look forward to hearing a little bit more in a moment about how you went about this beer. But I think dry hops are. I mean, you already have alcohol in the beer. The alcohol is going to dissolve some of the oils and the alpha acids and so forth. I mean, I'm not a chemist, but I've always perceived that's partly why dry hopping works. Right? You have a solvent of alcohol, and you're adding something into this beer that has the alcohol, which acts as a solvent and lets that stuff get in. Wet hop, I mean, you're not boiling. You don't have the alcohol in there already. You're kind of trying to get some oils and aroma and flavor in there, but it's, to me, kind of some voodoo that I don't fully understand about how that process is supposed to actually work to get the hop character in. But well done, Wade. I think it's great that this beer I've talked myself out of any oxidation. There's really no flaws in this beer. I mean, it's really well attenuated. There's no phenols. There's no acetaldehyde. There's no diacetyl. There's nothing in here that would make me say that would have me knock any points off for flaws.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. Wade, let's talk to you a little bit about the beer, man. What was your process on this thing?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want the recipe?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it's going to be, it's going to be 50% raw Pilsner actually instead of 2-row. Because that's just what I had on hand. It's going to be 21% Weyermann Munich 2, 12.5% of Crystal 20, and 12.5% Crystal 15, and then 3% white wheat raw as well. Chinook and Zeus Wet Hop. It's a 90-minute boil because I like to do that. I like to do a 90-minute boil, especially up at Colorado elevation, just to drive off any DMS.
Okay.
So about roughly 3/4 of a pound of each Chinook and Zeus wet hop. Granted, that's, they're wet, they're not dried out. And then this beer's about a little over a month old, about a month and a half old. So it actually lost a lot of the aroma hops. It was dry hopped with Citra and Mosaic. Well, there was 2.5 ounces of Citra and 2.5 ounces of Mosaic in the last 15 minutes of the boil. And then dry hopped with 2 ounces of each as well. So that's for a 10-gallon batch. So it lost quite a bit of the aroma hops. It used to be really fruity on the nose, and it's more malty now.
And this is only a month and a half old?
Yeah.
Wow, I would have... Wow, that's fascinating how fast those aroma hops just vanished.
Right.
Yeah.
Were those wet hops as well? The Citra Mosaic?
No, those were dry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just have you ever tried dry hopping?
Yeah.
Like ever, Brian?
It's
a very
that's
vague.
Maybe in 1979 did no.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah, this was dry hopped with 2 ounces of Citra and 2 ounces of Mosaic.
Wow. I don't want to derail onto this, but I've just got to wonder. So did you keg this and then you pulled some off the keg to send in bottles? Did you bottle condition? Tell me about your packaging.
So I do a closed transfer into a keg off my conical, and then I bottle with a beer gun. I had these bottles left over from competition, so I just sent them in that way. And it actually won first at the competition.
Yeah, I would. Nice. When was the competition?
2 weeks ago.
Wow. See, it just seems really weird to me. And this is a mystery, maybe a Scooby-Doo level sort of thing going on here, where your process sounds, you got your process down, right? Everything's in a conical. You have a closed transfer. You're beer gunning, so there's really nowhere you're letting oxygen in. I presume it's cold the whole way through, or at least somewhat cold. There's nowhere the aroma is going to go, and yet only 6 weeks after you prepared this, and 2 weeks after you won first place, we get this, and there's almost no aroma hop character at all. I find that baffling in the extreme.
Yeah, they were 2016 Citra Mosaic dry hops that we got in a sample for the brewery I work for. So they were a little bit old. That might have been an interest, or that might have attributed to it, or just the heat from being shipped also could have done that. But they did fall off relatively quickly.
Yeah. They were 2-year-old wet hops?
No, dry hops.
Dry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the wet hops were literally, I picked them off the vine, and then they went in maybe 5 minutes later.
Okay.
Yeah, all I can think of, because we've had this nationwide heat spell a few weeks ago, that maybe somehow these things just sat in the truck and cooked for days. Before they got here.
Well,
That's
he grew
all
the
I
wet
can
hops,
imagine.
yeah. Oh,
no,
you mean the beers, the beers.
To drop off from a point of winning a prize at a competition to having almost no aroma, it's got something really severe happen. That your process sound and your packaging both sound like you really understand what you're doing. I'm not seeing any issues with that. I mean, the obvious answer is it just got cooked on the way out here.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened, but I just figured I'd give it to you guys, see what you thought about it. So.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Wish I could have had this 2 weeks ago in Colorado.
All right, let's get Eric on the line here then, I guess. You guys are right there. There's no point in taking a break now.
Yeah, let's roll. I'm ready.
Roll. Eric, what's going on, dude? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm a little tired, I'm going to be honest with you. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brian, do me a favor. Give me a glass, please.
You want to actually participate in this?
The other Brian is much better at pouring me beers. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just kind of suck in some ways.
That's all right.
My homebrew doctorate is from a much less respected institution than Brian's.
Kellogg's. Eric, have you done a quad before? What drove you to make this massive beer?
You know what? This is actually my one and only. I got into homebrewing about 4 or 5 years ago now, and the West Leveren 12 out of Belgium was a beer that was kind of my white whale at the time that I had never gotten to try and didn't anticipate ever being able to, so I figured I'd try my attempt at brewing my own homebrew version.
Yeah.
So that's what this is, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to try the real deal, and the real stuff is real good, but I was pretty pleased with this one as well. So, man,
that beer has probably resulted in, I don't know, 25% of the homebrewers in the world, maybe more. That's a pretty good beer to get drug into this weird hobby, that's for sure. Well, Brian, go ahead, and since you're the only one here, you get to start again.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
You want to hear a funny West Leveren story first? If you don't, I will just go right on to judging this this beer.
Go ahead, Brian.
So my sister and her husband live in Denmark. We went to go visit them a number of years ago, and there is a great little craft beer store in Randers, which is the little town by where they live. And I thought, okay, we stayed with them for a few days. I'm going to repay them by getting them some cool American beers and some other stuff. So I got like a Jolly Pumpkin, it was like a $40 beer there, maybe $10 here, and some Westie. So I go up to the counter, and they say, this will all be free. I'm like, what? So in Denmark, everything has like a sell-by date. So even things that are supposed to get better and be aged, you sell it after that date, they have to just give it to you for free. So I ended up with $80 worth of awesome American and Belgian beer, including Westie, that I got to take to my brother-in-law's house for free. So
hell yeah, dude.
That may not be the best story in the world. That should remind me next time I'm going to tell some story, just shut the hell up and start judging the beer.
Fair enough.
All right, so aroma. This is a big, rich, malty, sweet aroma with, to me, kind of some almost toffee-like candy character. And toffee's not quite it because there's not the chocolate-ish component you can get with toffee, but it reminds me a little bit of toffee. So definitely some honey aroma. Also get like a grape juice, grape-type ester in here. No hop aroma, but that's okay with a quad. There's really never too many hops in a quad. Gave this 10 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, it's slightly hazy. Was this bottle conditioned?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I assumed it was dark enough in the bottle it was hard to tell, so I assumed it was bottle conditioned. So I'll put that on me for pouring a little yeast out. It was a low head that was very persistent. Color is sort of a light brown / leather color. Thought it was real nice. Give that 3 out of 3. I'm usually pretty generous about a slight haze. It takes a lot for me to knock it down a point for clarity. Flavor. So initially the character is definitely malty, some base malt, and then some of the sweetness from just the fermentation, the esters, the yeast character. Definitely get a little bit of that Belgian yeast character in this. After the yeast character and the sweetness comes some smooth ethanol, not harsh ethanol. It's often a flaw in these really big beers, whether they're homebrew or commercial, that the ethanol is there, but it's just it's harsh. It's like some CVS brand generic alcohol.
I love it.
Like Lady Lee brand vodka. This is just really smooth, and you get that. Like the best examples of these beers have that smooth kind of sweet ethanol that's not harsh, and that's definitely the way it is here. Finish is long and somewhat bitter. The level of maltiness is high. Bitterness is medium, but I think the bitterness gets amplified by the alcohol level. So in the finish ends up kind of giving a perceived bitterness that I think is higher than the actual amount of hops in this beer.
Yeah.
No hop flavor. Gave this a 15 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel exceptionally smooth for such a high alcohol content beer. Medium body, low carbonation, no astringency, definitely warming. It is 5 out of 5. Overall impression, I really like this beer, which is smoother and less harsh than most commercial examples.
I would agree.
I avoid this. I very rarely will purchase quad, whether it's at a bottle shop or a bar, because it tends to just be too big and too harsh for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're syrupy and, kind of over the top.
But this is well attenuated enough that you have sweetness, but it's not syrupy.
Yeah.
It's not just this thick, hot,
mess.
Fusel alcohol-y mess. Really, really excellent fermentation. It definitely shows good fermentation control to get this type of ethanol and not the nail polish and the harshness and the stuff that so many of us get when we make the huge alcohol beers. If I had any, I give this an 8 for overall impression. If I had any feedback, it might be to dial back the hop bitterness just a little bit, maybe 25%, just because the alcohol does give you, I think in combination with the hops, a little bit more perceived bitterness than might be intended. But overall, really well done. I gave this a 41. Thought it was a really excellent beer, and probably the no joke might be the favorite, but the best quad I've ever had.
Oh shit!
In fairness, I probably had like 4 quads, including this one, but still, it can still be the best, right?
Brian also hit his head earlier today, so
pretty badly. I should be going to the doctor.
Yeah, well,
salt, then is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he's used to putting caramel flavoring into rubbing alcohol and drinking that. So that's kind of that's the wave he. Eric, do me a favor, dude. Let's go through your recipe real fast, and then we'll see if you have any questions, and then we'll see if Wade had any questions, because I totally skipped that whole part of the show.
So the recipe, one of the most interesting things about this beer specifically is this was only like my maybe 12th or 14th beer I ever brewed. This beer is approximately, actually we're coming up right at 3 years that 3 years ago that I brewed this. So it sat in secondary for about 4 or 5 months, and then it's just been sitting in the bottle in my basement ever since then. So dug this one out to send off to you guys. So I appreciate all the great feedback that you gave me. As far as the recipe, though, it was 50% Pilsen 2-row, 40% pale malt, and then I did use a couple pounds of the 180 dark candy syrup, and that was just a 5-gallon batch is what I had done. So
okay,
nice.
So hops had Brewer's Gold was the bittering hop that I used for 60 minutes. Hallertau at 30 minutes, and then I did Styrian Goldings for a 15-minute hop addition.
Eric, I'm gonna have you back up just a second rather than wait till the end of this. So you used Pilsner malt and pale malt. Was there a reason you decided to use the two instead of just using mostly Pilsner or mostly pale malt?
I mean, back then I was so new to brewing that this was the recipe that I had kind of found and just went with what was given to me, I guess. So
that's fair. It worked out well.
Yeah, it's a beer that I'm still really proud of, and I'm unfortunately down to my last about 6 or 8 bottles of it. So
oh man,
it's something that I don't just drink all the time. I kind of bring it out for special occasions.
And this terrible show.
And this terrible show.
Wait a minute, that's rude. Anyway, go ahead with the recipe. I think you were just finished the hops.
Yeah, I interrupted you at hops.
So that was it. I used the Trappist High Gravity White Yeast 3787 for the yeast, and that was it. I didn't do any water treatments or anything like that. It was just the tap water that we had in our area. So,
all right.
Did you do fermentation temperature control?
Just whatever temp in my closet was.
Really? That I got to say, frankly, I'm astounded because people do that with these big beers.
Yeah.
And inevitably, you have that high temperature excursion at the very beginning. You get up to like 90, and then you have those awful fusels and things. So is your closet like down in your basement? Was it wintertime? Tell me more about this closet.
It was. I brewed it in October, so October in Colorado in the basement would have been a little bit cooler, of course, and then it's been stored in my basement ever since then. I've never had it up in any really warm areas. I mean, I don't think my basement ever gets any over probably 72 degrees even in the summertime because we're running the air conditioner. So
yeah.
Okay, that probably explains it, because if you were down in maybe the low 60s in your basement when you did this, that would keep you from having a really bad high temperature excursion that's going to give you the fusels from the initial part of the fermentation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, well done, man. That's
it came out great.
Only brew this in October's
for just screwing around. Essentially, It sounds like I'm just farting around and made this beer.
Like I said, it was a beer that I didn't think I was ever going to have the opportunity to try, and figured, what the hell, I'll just make my own.
What
like I said,
what do you think the differences were between the Westy and your beer?
I mean, it's been a while since I've had the original. I think it has it had a little fuller flavor to it, a little bit of a fuller mouthfeel than mine. I feel like mine compared to it is quite a bit thinner. I mean, off the top of my head, because like I said, it's been a while since I've had it. That was the biggest thing that I had noticed from the original to this version.
Yeah.
Well, flavor was pretty well spot on. This one might be have a little more fruit character. Real deal, but
okay.
I mean, I would put this one up against the real deal any day.
Man, you should watch one of those counterfeit wine documentaries that are all over Netflix right now.
I saw that one on Netflix. Yeah, it was Sour Grapes or something like that.
Yeah, oh man, that dude was a genius. But that could be you, man. You can be riding in the Lambo, and just selling black market Westy 12.
Hell yeah!
I think you should do it. Do you have any questions for Brian? Because clearly I'm an idiot and I don't know anything.
No, I don't. I just again want to thank you guys for the feedback and for having us on the show.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing.
Of course. Wade, do you have any questions for Brian or for Eric, for that matter? I mean, I don't know.
Not really. I mean,
or for Cooper.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. It was awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for sending all that beer, and apparently we'll be talking to you probably next month or the month after or something. We got a lot of beer left for you.
Sounds good, man.
All right, guys. Have a good night, huh?
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, guys.
That was cool.
That was very cool.
Yeah. All right, Brian, we're going to take a break. And we're going to come back, and we're going to give some prizes away, and then we're going to be done. We've been on the air for half an hour. I don't have anything to say.
Can we just start jabbering about whatever? Or, I mean,
we can. I don't know how interesting that'll be, but let's get after this break, and we'll see you in a second.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Now, back to the examination.
Hey, thanks for hanging on, everybody. Before we go to our Grog Tag $40, at least your beer will look good gift certificate, I would like to tell you guys that the American Homebrewers Association, which is, of course, a member-driven organization that wants to help you save money on beer and brewing supplies, they would like to let you know that they have money-saving discounts at nearly 2,000 beery destinations around the country through their member deals program. So you can join the AHA at homebrewersassociation.org. And if you're listening to this program and you're not an AHA member, I don't know what you're doing. But what you should be doing is go to homebrewersassociation.org and join, man, and save some cash because they're really good at it.
And you should remember those discounts because I always forget like a big dummy. You know, get that Brew Guru app, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it's there for. Mm-hmm. Set the notifications. Let it push that to you if you're near a place to drink beer. You can drink here and get a discount. I need to set my notifications to get that push.
Hell yeah. Well, let's just do this now. Don't forget about the iDip, everybody. If you're trying to muck with your water, the iDip is the only meter that you need to get on the market. It incorporates a revolutionary photometer. It's for home or commercial use. It's the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part. It has the ability to test over 40 different water quality tests. 4 come preloaded on the John there, and more are available. You can test for stuff like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium hardness, pH, sulfate, and more, with, of course, using only 4 milliliters of water for each test. So go to smartbrewkit.com, enter code TBN10 at checkout, and save $10 on the standard or advanced Smart Brew testing kit. Okay.
You know what's funny about my water?
What's that?
My water is so low in calcium. So I'm
How low is it?
It's so low that the standard calcium test that comes with the iDip cannot measure it. I get an error. And yet the iDip is so versatile. I could order the strips that would let me be from like 0 to 50 ppm.
Yeah.
As long as I'm under 50, I'm just like, yeah, my calcium is super low, and
You're fine.
I wing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all you got to do, man, but at least you know.
I know. It's under 50.
Okay, let's give away a gift certificate to Grog Tag, huh? So who is the lowest score?
Wade's of course, Wet Hop IPA is the lowest scoring beer.
Wet Hop IPA is the lowest scoring beer. So, Wade, you get $40 to blow over at grogtag.com, and I'll email you over that a couple of days. Congratulations. Eric, you don't get anything, really.
Well,
you get shit.
Satisfaction of a job well done.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, for sending in beers. And like I said, we'll talk to you, some other point. Man, I'm tired, dude.
You look so really tired. Are you okay?
I'm fine. And
do you have the pneumonia, too, and you just don't know it?
You know what? Honestly, I think I've been getting sick for like a week, but I'm not.
As you sniffle into the microphone a
but
little bit.
I have a lot of that. My kids started sleeping like a lot better. We did this, they said like to cry it out, where you just put her in the crib and you just shut the door and you walk away.
You did that?
Yeah, but we did a modified version of it, which we found online, where it's basically you put her in the crib and you leave her for 5 minutes. And then you come in, a steady 5 minutes of like, right. And then you shush her and pat her back and like, okay, everything's fine. It's here. And you try to calm her down, and then you leave. And then you repeat that.
That one makes more sense to me. My daughter's 11, and we've never got her to the point of crying it out. Yeah. But we just couldn't. It seemed inhumane to just let her cry for hours.
I agree.
I would have done the modified one if we had thought of it or been not so tired we couldn't have figured that out ourselves.
Well, right. That's the other part. So, before I was just fighting her, man. Every nap time was a friggin' battle, dude. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, it just builds up. And anyway, we tried it, and she took to it like that, man.
Wow.
And it maybe the first time she cried for like 2 minutes, and then she was out. And I'm like, holy shit. And I called Taryn on the phone. I'm like, dude, you'll never guess who just fell asleep on her own. And it's
Beverly.
Yeah, right. And it's she's anyway, she comes and goes, but for the most part everything's cool. And now she's sleeping through the night.
Man.
She's not waking up to feed. So 6 months, 6.5 months, sleeping through the night. So I'll get 7 hours of sleep now, unbroken, but I'm still friggin' exhausted, man. And I guess that's really the point of the story is it's not the kid anymore, but I think I can't take naps during the day. I mean, I sort of can, but not really. But she started learning how to crawl. And so I'm just everywhere, constantly getting up from working and doing this thing and moving her and playing with her and changing a diaper and then put her down. And then it's like, okay, I have maybe 40 minutes to an hour and a half. What do I do? I have to work. I have to nap. I have to do dishes. I have to do laundry. I have to do all the stuff.
Yep.
And it's just, I'm just constantly tired. I'm constantly tired. And I don't know if that'll
Welcome to relatively new parenthood. It gets better.
Yeah, that's what I hear. So tomorrow we got this, and then Saturday. So this is recorded on September. This is September. What is this?
28th, maybe.
27th.
27th. Okay.
On the 29th for my Disney podcast, earsuppodcast.com, we're having our 5th anniversary show. We're doing this for 5 years. And I come up with a great idea to do a 5-hour marathon, 5-hour broadcast. And then
that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, where we're going to have a bunch of people in studio, like some friends are coming up. The Essers, Charlie Essers Push is coming up to help.
Terrence said that Jeremy from Spectro Radio is going to be
there.
Jeremy's
going to be on, yeah. If you like Disney music, spectroradio.us. It's cool. Anyway, and then as part of our Patreon levels, which is like like a Kickstarter, like a monthly Kickstarter thing. Everyone knows what Patreon is now, I guess. You sign up for $5 or more, and we do what we call a secret show, where we say, the F word and the S word, but we drink, and we drink cocktails, and we give you the recipe, and then we do news, and it's a fun thing. We're doing a 3-hour version of that. So
you guys are going to be so messed up at the end of a 3-hour secret show. It's not even funny.
I know. So it's basically we're broadcasting from 11 in the morning until 7 at night. And I remember looking at the clock and was like, God, I'm really tired, man, because I'm trying to get a feel for how I'm going to be possibly on this Saturday. I look at the clock. I'm like, dude, it's got to be like 4. It's like 12:30, and I'm like, dude,
you got to get a nap tomorrow or something, man.
I know, and that's the thing. I'm basically throwing a party.
Yes.
So I have to, vacuum the studio, vacuum upstairs. We have guests, so I have to make sure the linens are clean, and still taking care of the kid and doing all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I don't want to bore you more than already, but I'm fucking tired.
So you have a baby that's crawling. So how old is she that she's crawling?
6.5. She's starting. They call creep.
Yes.
Which I didn't know was a term. People just were calling me a creep. I was like, oh, okay. I know relatively what a creep is. But I call it the army crawl.
Wait until she starts to walk, because that's when you're going to suddenly realize, oh, shit, I have to put a latch on every cabinet and every drawer. I got to get the thing. You probably have the thing at the top of the stairs and the bottom of the stairs already. But when you realize you have to latch the toilet shut and everything, that's what happiness is, waking up at 2 a.m. to pee and realizing you don't know how to work the latch on the toilet.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you have that to look forward to.
Well, that's what a sink is for. I'm tall enough.
You have a backyard.
Yeah, it's I'm already noticing when she's crawling a lot farther now, and it's like, oh shit, we have like a little, I don't know, hutch or display table, whatever that means. And there's like stuff at it, and she's like reaching for the shit. I'm like, oh, I can't. Okay, this is where we're at. It's starting to feel like she's a real human.
The sad thing is nobody has a VCR anymore, so she can't shove shit in that little door of the VCR.
That's true.
It's down by the floor.
Yeah, but what I'm noticing is I'm recording her a lot more, especially when she's doing stuff like pooping, like her poop face. I love to video record her like just turning like a tomato, just bright red, and she looks like a friggin' Chris Farley impression. And it's the funniest goddamn thing. And or like learning how to crawl, and I'll talk to her on the tape too. because it's like, my dad had a video camera. Mm-hmm. Your dad probably had a film camera, like a Super 8
8mm
or something.
baby, no sound.
Right. So you can't do that shit. No. So this is like one of the first kind of generations of me, the last like 5 years, that parents can do that, and they can document pretty much everything. And so I feel like that would be really cool. It'd be cool for me to go back and watch on not an outdated platform like a VCR, because I have all like my family movies, but it's all jumbly and whatever. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to do that and go through some of that with her.
I have literally dozens of hours of video, probably hundreds of hours of video of my daughter, and not 1 second of those includes her pooping.
That's too bad.
I know. I guess what am I going to show at her engagement party?
You can show mine.
Yeah, well, there you go. She won't know the difference.
Right.
It'll be cool.
I think you should be this is what you should do. We should film you. We should record you, video you. Excuse me. Reenacting your favorite memories of her, dressed up as her. That'd be great. Get pigtails or whatever. Little
oh my God! Yeah, it would be hilarious.
That'd be great, right? Let's do it. I mean, she's only 11, so we got a ways to go.
We got some. You get some sleep first before we work on that.
Dude, I'm so fucking tired. But it's all right, man, because we have another show coming up. So if you're listening live somehow,
I'm going to drink some more beer. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Stay tuned, and we'll be back after this. And then if you're not listening live, just go ahead and push next.
888-401-BEER.
The phones don't work anymore.
Damn it.
No.
So forget I said that. We'll cut that out in post.
No one used the phones, and so we stopped paying the bills, I guess.
That's a good idea, because, why bother?
Exactly. All right, everybody, this has been Dr. Homebrew. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time, huh?